I could tell you about Sir Duncan the Tall. Those were always your favourites.
All right. What's up, everyone?
Hey, everybody.
We are a handful of days, 4 days, 5 days away from season 1 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I think it was 2013, maybe 2014 when we first did the Hedge Night on this podcast. And then
2023,
we restarted the Night of the Seven Kingdoms read through, Hannah and I. And we're about to finish it at the end of this week. And by God, the TV show airs on Sunday.
I can't believe we're in season for Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I think we can say we're season.
We're officially in season.
It's just wild to think about because we started our reread or our read through in 2023. And I was kind of going back and just reminiscing a little on those episodes. And we were talking about the rumors that were circulating, and maybe we could get a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and a casting call went up that seemed like it might be for this show.
Yeah, it was on the list of shows that have continued to be pitched within HBO.
And now here we are.
And
it's official.
Yeah, I think that for years I would talk about this plan, and people online and you would make fun of me about, here's the good time because the way the show's being published here, I think this might be the perfect window for Winds of Winter to get published. Well, I just want to say that I think that some of it worked.
Yeah.
Because here we are. It's 2026. Hannah's about to read a quote from a news article that is supporting my claim that some of what I said made sense. But the gist of the point I'm trying to make is it's 2026. We looked at our calendar on our last episode of potential projects or projects that we know are happening through 2029, and then the list of potential projects beside that. Well, we just got confirmation from Ira Parker via an interview with The National. Do you want to read the quote?
Yeah, he says, George has shared with me about 10 to 12 more little outlines for books, for novellas, taking Dunk and Egg all the way through their life. Right now, we're focused on one, and we'll see how the world responds to that. We're making 2 at the moment, Parker says. Hopefully, everybody likes it, and we get to keep doing these. Certainly, I love doing it. I love writing in this world, and it's a wonderful story. So I hope we get to make as many of these as possible. But most importantly, George has shared with me 10 to 12 outlines for additional Dunk and Egg stories.
Okay, so what I was saying was, that mystery that he created by never publishing the motherfucking Winds of Winter. Holy crap. We were talking about that in 2018, and now it's 2026, and we're getting nothing but, today. Let's look at it. Or this was yesterday, but George is in Germany right now.
Just killing it at the premiere.
Posing it up. Absolutely iced out in Gucci.
Yeah, I love his hat.
With the cast of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. His third adaptation with HBO.
Oh, no big deal.
The vibe is just super positive. We talked about it in the last episode, but everything seems to be good. The early reviews are in. I'm seeing nothing but this is the best GOT since before season 5. And that's no slight to Hadid. That's just a big props for this show.
Yeah. And I just think a props to the franchise as a whole.
So I'm not trying to gas up all this. I know that it could go either way. Hannah also has a quote that made her turn her eye to the side a little bit.
You could read that in a little bit, but
yeah,
we've had a lot of good news this week.
But all this is cool. The energy is really high, and I just think it's a really cool place for the fans of this series to be. Like I was saying, almost 10 years ago or 8 years ago. I think all of this spinning our wheels, is both creative, and I think it has a bit of a point to it. And I think that this point is extended the GOT universe into a whole new decade, and now it's poising itself for another decade after the decade that was following it when everyone thought it was over. We're already setting up for the third one. And so I'm not sure where in the timeline Winds is going to get published, whether we'll get Winds or in Dream close together. A lot of folks have been recently theorizing about that, and we talked about it years ago. And we also kind of talked about that with George on the podcast. But what a cool 4 or 5 days to lead into the show. We were saying in the last episode, there's just not a lot of negativity spinning out there.
There's a ton of positivity. And I personally, when I hear a quote of Ira Parker saying 10 to 12 more outlines for books for Dunk and Egg, I've seen some chatter of some folks saying, oh, well, we're never going to get wins now because he's so focused on other projects, or the same kind of excuses, I guess, people are throwing out there. But I think, kind of going off of what you're saying, I totally see the opposite of that, because the wind is at his sails.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all
he's
part of the plan.
pumping through all this creativity. So I think that 10 to 12 more novellas or 10 to 12 more outlines, whether they end up just being TV adaptations or they're actually published, kind of based on the way that Ira Parker has talked about his writing relationship with George. We might not necessarily need to see those in books first before the two of them work together on TV shows. It's just, I think it's exciting to see all these different possibilities. And I don't think that hurts wins. I think it helps it, because if there was no excitement, I don't think George needs to be fueled by fan craze, but it helps when when people are excited, and when you're excited and having these cool experiences and walking these red carpets and on set and et cetera, et cetera.
Still out here. That's a building behind George. They have an installation on the other side of the world for this.
It's been so great. So it's been very exciting to see all of the promotional stuff come together.
I just hope that it's good. It really hinges on how this season lands.
Yeah.
But I think that what you're saying makes total sense. Obviously, that's how I feel. And I hope that all of those guesses are in the right direction. And I'm just glad that it's working out this way.
Yeah.
But I don't think we would have ever gotten of just direct adaptation with this much love and care being poured towards, it's a book adaptation, if we'd gotten wins all those years ago.
Yeah.
I think it would have gone the way of Potter, where
probably
Hallows got published. They finished out the movie series and then it immediately moved on to the next thing.
The canon is closed.
And a lot of those online projects between then, all the Pottermore era type of stuff, like there just wasn't the same energy in the air.
Yeah.
That's the same point that we've made a million times on the podcast.
It's
but
true,
I think
though.
right now it's kind of like really evident what the result of that when's not being published is, that we're still doing this, and it's going in a very similar way. This has the vibes of early, like Game of Thrones season 2 kind of, but with even more, budget attached to it, specifically talking about the premiere week vibe.
Totally, because we're seeing George on the red carpet. It's pretty fun to see him out and about.
But the budget's just a little bit back from GOT scale, and everyone's really humble about it. And they gave all the reviewers all 6 episodes, so it's like they've got their hands out open.
Yeah.
Whereas the GOT era, especially toward the end, was very like,
yeah,
we got this.
Yeah. You guys don't need to know.
So we're talking about the first 6 episodes of this television series adaptation, whether it goes 1 season or 12 seasons or
Can you imagine?
15. We know that George has spoken in the past about all the ideas and the stories that he has connecting Dunk's era up closer to the current AGOT, A Song of Ice and Fire era. He's been quoted at conventions and conversations, and now more recently the Ira Parker thing that we were talking about. I think you can extract that means that there's 10 to 12 books for sure at this point, at least in his head.
Yeah, which is the most he's ever said.
But here we are again. Let's just navel gaze for 5 seconds. 5 days out, we're actually just gonna do an actual breakdown.
We thought it would be fun just to kind of go episode by episode and break down what we've seen in interviews, what we know from the runtimes, what we know from our read through, how we broke it down in our show, and bring all of that information together and give our best guess. But there's a couple questions and sticking points that I'm not 100% sure on. So let's dive into what we think episode 1 is going to be, the Hedge Knight Sunday's episode, 42-minute runtime. And it seems to me like we are covering a lot of ground in this episode. So clearly we've seen a couple things. We've seen Sir Arlen and that death and burial. We've seen a couple shots from the trailer of that. We've seen the moment when, through this whole sequence, seemingly Dunk decides it's time to go to Ashford himself. He can be a knight. Why not him?
I mean, the sword's in his hand after all.
It fits so well. Yeah. So then he gets on the road and he travels to the inn. I think we're going to see that whole, I think most of what we see in the first, what we're seeing in the trailer is going to come from the first episode. He's going to meet Egg, thinks he's a stable boy. He's going to, I guess, meet Darren in
for sure
the inn.
Yeah.
Covered in wine. Head to Ashford. Meet Steely Pate.
Yep.
In
so
episode
you think that's
1.
Gonna be episode 1?
I think so.
Okay, right on.
Maybe not. when you say that. There's so many things.
It's an episode 2 thing for me personally. But
Really?
Yeah.
So in my mind, he gets to Ashford and he like starts to put his feelers out and like hang out, and that's where he runs into those girls, and that's where he goes to meet Steely Pate to get armor, and then Egg comes back and surprises him at the camp, and they have their sweet evening together, and then the next day he goes to try to get on the list and meet the plumber, and he runs into Prince Aaron.
Mhm.
You think the Steely Pate stuff is all gonna, because for me, episode 1, the Steely Pate kind of sets off the stress of he can't afford this, and then now he can't be in it.
Yeah. Okay. Now that you lay it out like that, it does make more sense. I was going to say the first couple episodes and looking at the press photos that we have available to us and
Yeah.
looking at the footage that we have in the trailer, just trying to make our best guess of which plot points are going to be all sort of jammed, for lack of a better word, into the first episode. I'm curious about something like Steely Pate because to me, he's the kind of character that he's not like a greeter at Port Royal at
Yeah,
the beginning of Pirates of the
right.
Caribbean.
That's true.
He's the kind of guy you meet like once you're already settled into the world, and he sort of would give me a reintroduction with a face and a character who's going to come back later to the tourney. And I think like seeing it and being impressed by all of the wow and bumping into Tonsel and whether he talks to Plumber or not in the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
would be like the interaction with the tournament, less so of already getting down to business. I was thinking maybe day 2 he was getting down to business, but it doesn't make sense in the adaptation for it to be like that, though.
Yeah, I was thinking that because the episode is so long that we would do a lot of the setup piece and like really start to feel and understand the camp. And I think like when we think about a character like Steely Pate, when I look at him from a TV show character, you think about him at the end of the series where we're talking spoilers, right? Where he's like dressing Dunk to go fight.
Yeah.
Having him be like a callback character from, he was one of the first guys we met when we were out at
that's
camp.
what they're going to do for sure. When I was breaking it down to talk about it today, and when we were breaking it down originally for the podcast, I didn't look at it like a TV show.
Right.
Where I needed to meet everyone and the pilot, basically.
Right.
But like I said before, judging by the photos that they've put out for promotion for episode 1 and by the potential of how much coverage the trailer had, it's looking like all of our characters
are getting introduced
in episode 1.
Yeah.
And so I think that we'll even be seeing the laughing. So I think that this scene might be from episode 1.
That's a big question I was going to talk to you about too, is like, okay, so if we're even going to get this guy in episode 1, which by the way, I love Dunk's face in this still. He's just like feeling so many emotions all at once. But if we're going to meet, where would we meet the Laughing Storm?
We'd see him in the wild first. We'd see him in the wild and we'd be like, wow, it's Lionel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm. Exactly. And eventually we're going to have some kind of interaction lead to this. And I don't know if this could be a bit of misdirection, that this could be actually from like, let's say episode 3, but there still is a meeting. Either way, this photo is representing the vibe of potentially meeting Lionel.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure this was published as one that was confirmed for episode 1. But then we were looking back on the photos.
And some of them had changed because some of them didn't just say episode 1. Some of them just said season 1.
So we confused ourselves. So who knows? It's going to become clear in just a couple of days.
For the sake of everyone listening, these first couple episodes, a couple of these things are going to be up in the air.
Yeah.
But it seems like that they might end up doing the TV thing where rather than the pace of George's book or the pace of our read through, you know, even if Steely Pate to me would feel like a cool, like episode 2, I met him and I'm being reintroduced to the vibe of the tournament. I think at that level of television network art, that is such a dumb choice. And they would put that in episode 1. That they're going to stack the deck, like you were saying, where there's payoff and all of those people are introduced. I think that my outlook on episode 1, whenever I reread the book today, was really changed by realizing that, because I originally pictured it really spending time before the tournament.
Well, because it's
like a lot of time.
That's what we would do in other, like in Game of Thrones. That's what we would have done.
To, at least,
you know,
to make it feel really lived in, and then go there. But it seems like it's probably going to be about half and half.
They're probably going to rely on the fact that we are familiar enough with Westeros that we don't need to live in it
for too much. Yeah,
we know. Well, can we read? I want you to read from. There was a really great interview that came out this week with Ira Parker and the Times, where he goes the author of the article spills exactly what happens in the intro to episode 1, and honestly reading this completely changed what I thought the series was going to look like. Not completely, but enough.
This was written by David Potton for the Times. There's a moment in the first episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms that tells you loud and clear that this is a different kind of Game of Thrones series. The titular Sir Duncan the Tall, played with wonderful guilelessness by the Irish actor Peter Claffey, is feeling heroic. Cue a familiar snatch of Ramin Djawadi's stirring theme tuned from the original show. Oh, okay. Then abruptly, the music stops. Uh-oh. And we cut to Sir Dunk projectile pooing behind a tree. This is lighter, if no less earthy, fare than we had in other adaptations of George R. R. Martin's novels.
Oh, man.
Okay, well, what about Old Town? Those, like, they basically made a music video out of it. I don't know. Listen, I didn't realize there's a lot of source material that Ed had to go through.
Sure, yeah, of course.
Maybe he didn't remember that sequence from the original series.
Yeah, there's many things the Maester series, but the way he described it, that paragraph sent me into
I feel like I can already see it.
Yeah.
I feel like I've already seen it.
I was like, no.
That's like a record scratch, 90s movie record scratch.
I know, that's kind of what I was feeling.
I think a lot of people are going to be really scared by that.
I hope that it's endearing. And I think that our boy Peter here can hopefully carry the endearingness about it. Because if it's too serious, or if it's not, it doesn't hit the way that we hope, please don't turn off the TV.
I think that the fact that they're using a hard stop with the GOT theme, that's one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life. If that's real.
I know.
If that's real.
So, like, sorry for the major spoiler for anybody who didn't read that article.
No, we're not sorry. We told you there'd be spoilers in this episode.
We have to address that, and we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it is an extreme tune change. And then he goes on later in the article, because there's one point where Dexter says about Egg that, kids can watch the show like me. Kids like me can watch the show too.
Oh.
And Ira Parker goes, wait a second.
How did he think that at that point? Yeah. That's so funny.
The language is pungent too. I definitely wouldn't let my 11-year-old watch the bit where someone threatens to hang Dunk, quote, a quote that I'm a sweet girl I wouldn't say.
By the balls or something?
Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, it sounds like it's going to be kind of a crude slapstick situation. I could imagine no one better than somebody like the Laughing Knight to bring up that type of energy to the show, to be honest. But thinking about what things are going to look like and then reading that really changed my perspective on, I know we've been talking about a lighter tone, but like that actually puts us in it in a way that that puts me in it in a way that we haven't yet, because it's so direct.
I just think it's very funny hearing you talk about this in a podcast format. I think it would scare. I agree with you. And I think that if they're able to pull it off, it'll do what the movie mid-90s wanted to do for the entire 2 hours.
Yeah.
If they're able to pull that off, that would be a hook. It's kind of a dangerous hook. I wish that HBO knew how lucky they were that they're getting that sort of attempt at a snag of pop culture into a certain direction.
It's very bold.
I hope it works.
I hope it does too, because
I really do.
I just know there's a lot of people coming to the show. Like, I'm sure you're starting to get the same thing. It's like texts from old friends. It's like, I just heard there was a new Game of Thrones show coming out. What do you think? Like, who haven't participated. I hope it hits, because this story is too good and too important to us for people to throw to the side as just some sort of slapstick comedy. So who's to say?
Yeah,
But,
I think you said what everyone's thinking when they hear that point.
yeah.
But I think, like I said, if they're able to execute it, this is a pretty good batch of characters to execute it through.
And everybody's really confident, and everybody's saying really good things.
So if you tried that out at the top and you landed it, that's pretty good.
I liked what Ed Potton said at the end of the Times article. I thought the Times article was my favorite piece of media that came out this week. It was really good. If anybody hasn't read it yet, he really breaks down a lot of the main characters and kind of what their look and feel is for the season. But he says at the end, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms may have toilet gags, knob jokes, and a touch of cowboy spirit. But they are much as part of the Game of Thrones universe as everything.
Yeah, they've. Yeah.
So, as
It's the
Ice
beginning of
Zombies,
Owns,
he
literally.
says, literally. So
Yeah.
it's been there, and so I thought he capped it off a little bit with, like, it might be just like a different style, but it's always been had a level of, I don't want to say unseriousness, but kinda.
Yeah,
you
there
know?
always has been. Yeah.
Kinda. So that's
But to do that in 2026 is going to be tough to pull that off.
especially off of House of the Dragon, which has had some moments that were kind of funny,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's a pretty serious show.
Mhm.
So it's going to be really fun. So that's going to be episode 1, we think. So we're thinking
Well,
that
tell me what you think where the scale's going to go. Like, because I still think we have 2 different versions of episode 1 in our head. I want to hear for sure what yours is.
So I think episode 1,
Like, where's it going to end?
I think he runs into Prince Aaron, like that whole sequence with the horse, and
Yeah.
he sees him and he interacts with him.
So it's going
while
to be
he's selling-
post-plumber.
Yeah, while he's selling his horse, and I think it's going to end with that kind of interaction.
Hmm.
I can't fully wrap my head around, like, the sequence of events. I'm wondering if the Laughing Knight or the Laughing Storm. I'm
for
wondering.
God's sakes.
Sorry.
He would get so mad if he heard you call him that.
I know. He is a knight. No. I wonder if the Laughing Storm sequence and all of this is kind of at the end of the episode, because I feel like it's going to go burial, move to Ashford, pick up Egg, spend time us understanding Ashford Meadow, him running into some issues, which is Plumber, Prince Aaron. He has to sell his horse. The end of the episode.
So we're doing it all.
I think so.
Also an issue, the 2 ladies, and also
Yes.
not an issue, but a conundrum. Tonsel.
Yeah, so do we meet?
So we're meeting everyone.
Yeah, so
We might
okay,
even meet the Fossaways.
here's
Although
what else I
they
think.
might
I
do
don't
the
think
Steely
so.
Pate thing for day 2, but go on.
I think episode 1, we're going to see Tonsel, and we're going to see the puppet show, and we're going to see that as part of the revelry. But I think we're going to bump into Tonsel episode 2
Oh,
when
I
he's
see what you
back
mean.
doing his errands and he meets the Fossaways. That's my guess.
So, okay.
Because we do have more people to meet in episode 2.
That's
And the Fossaways are so
smart. That's
important.
probably exactly what it's going to be. We'll just brush up against this interaction, but we're not actually going to have it.
Yeah, so we'll see her. Maybe that.
It'll
Maybe
be
that,
the same for Baylor as well.
that
I bet.
picture of him where he's, or that moment from the trailer when he's watching her do the show in awe,
Yeah.
in love. Maybe that's episode 1, and that these stills and her incredible teal outfit is from episode 2.
Incredible.
I love the color. It looks really good.
Yeah, the color is nice.
Yeah,
I'll
the
give
color
you that.
looks really cute on her. That's what I mean. While he's out also trying to figure out some of his errands in camp. But I don't know about that. So here, okay, so can I talk about
The
episode
last
2?
errand, the last errand was at the stable before he runs into Arion. So
What errands does he have left?
other than that,
That's where I'm kind of stuck. So I think episode 2,
Baylor.
we've confirmed episode 2 is called Hard Salt Beef. Did you see that?
Who confirmed that?
The internet.
Okay, right on. Everyone's saying it's true, so it must be.
I saw a screenshot from the, let me
The
pull
app.
up. Yes,
Cool.
from the HBO
I was
app.
wondering where people were getting that. Okay, cool.
That's where the screenshot
News
is.
alert for everyone. Hard Salt Beef, episode 2 title.
Man, what if it's not true? That'll be hilarious. But episode 2, I think, is focused on Tonsel, Fossaway cousins, picking up his new armor, continuing to, like, soak in the energy of the tourney. Can't, going, trying to talk to Sir Manfred, can't get vouched for. He's like, whoa, no one believes me. And then he walks in on the Baylor Makar conversation.
You're nailing it. Exactly what I think too.
And then Baylor tells him he can enter, and then Tansel and him have a sweet moment, and she's like, I'll redo your shield. End of episode 2.
I wasn't for sure how all these things would go, and I didn't want to cement it in any particular spot because it's definitely veering off a little bit of the cadence of the book, but
Not that much, though, to be honest with you.
but for it to happen all in the same day.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just interesting that they're crunching it together all in the same day to hype up the tourney a bit. And I think that one thing we may have left out of the potential for day one is we're going to see probably the knights sparring at the very least. We maybe won't see jousting, but I have a feeling that we'll see something, yeah?
Well, we'll definitely see the Fossaways with their little...
So you think that that'll be the version of it? It'll just be practice?
But I think potentially for day 2, because I think episode 2 is going to be day 2. Because in episode 1, I think we're going to have the... Well, I guess that is one day, because like Dunk is going to go sleep and see the shooting star, and the luck is ours alone, and then he wakes up. Oh yeah, okay. So then episode 2 is day 2. I see what you're saying.
Exactly.
Now.
So for the sake of the show and everyone listening, they're gonna smush. They're gonna front load when we get to the tourney. It's gonna be a lot of things, and that's why we think we might meet up and actually have an exchange with the Laughing Storm. Personally,
I kind of like
sooner
that
rather than later.
From the chaotic, colorful, vibrant con energy of the tournament.
Yeah.
I think it's going to kind of really build up that. And we have a half hour per episode.
I was just wondering about the patience
to
get to some of these things though, because it's part of how we've talked about it on the show is having like, what are we going to talk about in the next chunk? It's only 12 pages, but this and this and this happened. So I'm just curious what will fill the rest of the time. You know
what's so interesting? And we're not quite there yet, but one way that I felt boxed in when thinking about the reading order, the TV show kind of episode breakdown, is that we got confirmation from New York Comic-Con panels that episode 5 was the trial of the 7.
Yeah.
And that episode 6 was the fallout of that. That bumps everything up even quicker because we only have 4 episodes to get up until the trial of the 7. So I was pretty surprised by that. Well, I wasn't surprised by it. I was just, when I was doing this exercise, I was thinking, wow, like it is pretty impressive that they're spending so much of episode 6 on the kind of, what's the phrase that they use? The emotional fallout of the episode 5 is the way George described it. Especially because they were able to speed up everything to the point where it still felt good and made sense. So we could have emotional fallout.
Exactly.
In episode 6.
But I think that balance is going to work really well because so much of the Hedge Knight is in blocking. And on top of that, so much of the Hedge Knight is also in Dunk's internal thoughts.
Yeah.
And so 2 things. We're going to have to get a lot of this action and a lot of the setting of the scene in every conversation, but also in the action sequences for sure. And they're going to take up minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to have to get it truly established on screen. We're going to have to truly live in it. It can't just be something that we imagine. So that's going to be, later episodes instead of meeting the Laughing Storm for the first time. We'll have more dialogue with him because we have established relationship, and then we'll have a lot of action and stuff. So it's going to stretch the Hedge Knight into a little bit beefier of a version than the short story itself was, I think, by front loading it and then allowing us to see a lot more of the action later on. And then as far as adapting Dunk's internal thoughts, I think that there's just going to have to be more scenes like speaking to those ladies.
Yes, that kind of highlight.
To explain those things that Dunk was thinking when he was at the pool at night, for example, and things like that. So, yeah. I think that's going to be cool. And I think that, we saw the Laughing Storm early on, and we were like, what is he doing there? But I think that when we're talking about building out the world, if
it's a good addition.
It up, there's a bit of a unreality with stories that are so real and visceral. Like part of why A Song of Ice and Fire is so fun to read is because it's in this magical place, but it feels very real when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And this story's a little bit more magical because Dunk is his squire is literally Aegon Targaryen.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's a little magical. And so if we made it a little bit more magical, where like the coolest guy at the thing is your like, come party with
I
me.
know.
He's basically the fiddler already,
Yeah.
you know, in the first book. It's a little heavy-handed magical, but you know, maybe it works out really well on screen.
Do you think it's going to be extremely obvious? Because in my breakdown, we're not going to get the egg reveal until episode 4. So do you think it's going to be extremely obvious in the first episodes
4.
leading up to it? I could be so off.
No, I think
But
you're right.
do you think that we'll know? And I think we talked about this before. Is it going to be like a wink to the audience, like the people who know, you know, like if you don't know, you don't know? Or is it going to be one of those things where somebody who is not a reader of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and just a casual viewer, are they going to know right off the bat?
I think that they're going to know in the same way that the book did. Because I think that the way that George did it was really good. And I think that they're going to go for that.
Yeah.
Because whenever, I mean, straight up.
I'm just laughing because remember when I had to Google
if Egg was a Targaryen? Yeah. LOL.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, the only thing, a spoiler I ever Googled about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms was confirming that Egg was a Targaryen.
I don't even remember the situation around it, so I can't comment.
Well, yes, early on in the read, I think that there's a lot of like points early on in the read of the color of Egg's eyes and why did he shave his head and all those types of things. So if we're going to get this kind of, as we were saying, 90s era comedic thing to the show, is it going to be like a side wink to the not truly like side wink to the audience, but is it going to kind of be like an inside joke that we have as like Dunk doesn't know that Egg is a Targaryen, or is it truly going to be a surprise reveal?
What a good question.
So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
I think it's going to be like the book. I don't think they're going to do that.
I think you're probably right.
It would be cool if they did do it.
Yeah.
And it was good. That would be fun to see because it would just be like another level of television showmanship, which I welcome all of that when it's intermingled with George's text and it's actually good.
Right.
You know, like if they actually try something and it's good, then let's go.
And it seems like they did based on, not to keep going back to that Times article, but I want to read a little bit. Ira Parker, I'm taking us off track a little bit. He said, George would read all of my first drafts for every episode and give his notes. I guess he realized that he was making the same show as me, Parker says. Et cetera, et cetera. He's told me I've pulled back and rethought a few things, but we have a wonderful relationship where I could push for a lot of things that I feel very strongly about. So George understands I have my own sense of humor, and even though he doesn't always agree, he lets it fly because it makes me happy, which, okay. But I quote that to say, I think that we may be getting some pieces that are like a little bit off of the book because George liked Ira's idea, because it seems like they have a pretty close working relationship.
Okay.
And so like maybe not necessarily that scenario, but maybe we could, I was just trying to.
I think what you're saying is like this stop of the music with the GOT theme and then Dunk taking a shit behind the tree. This like God mode, like I'm present, but you don't see me, but I'm here. Might appear again, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Maybe.
And if so, it seems like George trusts him. So you think that like this really good writer is approving an idea that's probably good too, because he's a really good writer.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see. But it just kind of gave me pause, or to hear that, to think about that. And then also hearing about that first scene, kind of, so like enhancing the source material to another level. So.
Yeah, and I wonder how they talk about that. Because, like, for example, that music stop, was that in the script very specifically? Is that something that George R. R. Martin himself, you know, from all the eras that he's lived in, is seeing it from the perspective of a 2025 maybe potential Gen Z viewer and be like, oh, it's cool when the music stops like that.
Because the beginning of the story is like actually sad in the book. You know, like it's very somber. And so especially with the pictures we've seen of all the rain, it's like, I was not expecting that. I can't wait to see it played on screen.
But I did think it was going to be by the third episode that we'd get the reveal, but I guess that's kind of silly because we've known for sure that the trial is on the episode 5, so it's definitely gonna be episode 4.
We might. Okay, so episode 3, Dexter Solancel, our egg, said that was his favorite episode, which I put a lot of weight on that initially. I was like, okay, well then obviously that's the egg
is
reveal.
Is that because he's running around the
I
tourney,
think
maybe?
so.
And like riding on Dunk's shoulders?
I think, and he's talking shop, or not talking shop, but he's spouting all of his knowledge about what's going on.
We're gonna have like a montagey cut sequence of him explaining the houses, walking literally through the pathways of the tents.
Yes,
and we're gonna see close-ups on
the banners.
The different pennants. Yeah.
These are the different guys. That's his son, and he's kind of cool, and he's kind of a loser,
like clearing their throat and spitting, and like they'll have like a beautiful house, but they'll be like a mute.
Yeah. Yeah, so day 1 of the tourney.
The different tents, fancy shit.
Egg telling Dunk everything that's going on. We meet the 5 champions, so we're going to learn all about these guys.
Right, they'll be part of that sequence.
They'll be part of the whole thing. Sir Lionel, the Laughing Storm, is going to become a fan favorite. I think on episode 3 is really going to be his thing, because there's this whole sequence in the book about him swiping off the sigils on people's helmets, and the crowd goes wild. And so I was like picturing Egg in the crowd spewing all these facts on Dunk's shoulder about this person and this person after we've had that walk through the camp. And then we're like really getting hyped up because we're getting some wild stuff from the Laughing Storm. And then I think the episode is gonna end or culminate with Arian driving his lance through Humphrey Harding's horse. And like all of that falling action, like Egg being really upset. Because this is our shortest episode. Episode 3 is only 31 minutes. It's the shortest by 2 minutes from the episode before. But I do think those 2 minutes matter. And so I think that episode 3 is really the big like tourney day that then ends with Arian driving his lance through Humphrey Harding's horse.
Dang.
So that's going to be a really fun episode. That's Dexter Solancel's favorite. At least it was at the time of New York Comic Con.
Okay, so that makes more sense. So we're going to get a full day of hanging in the tourney where things become brutal and they become serious.
I think that would do really well, especially as we're talking about just kind of the way the world is going to be built. We will have a slow world building because we will be in episode 3 talking about these different houses and things like that.
Let's go to 4 then.
Yeah, so then we get to episode 4. This is Peter Claffey's favorite episode, our Dunk's favorite episode. Again, put a lot of stock into that. I think we're going to get the drinking with Raymond Fossaway, evening in Ashford Meadow. It's nighttime. Everyone's partying and also whispering because like a crazy thing happened today at the tourney. I think so.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
That'd be cool though.
Egg bursts in pretty early.
Is that what this image would be right here?
I think this image is... Look at Arian's face.
That's like post Humphrey.
It's gotta be. Or it's like right at the beginning of day 1 of the tourney, but that doesn't make any sense because it's nighttime. Unless they do day 1 of the tourney at night. Like to open it up. Like
when he walks there from...
Yeah, like it's been a day of doing things. I don't know. I'm not sure. But we're going to get... And I think that we're going to get hanging with Raymond, Egg bursts in. So this is the way I see it. In order for us to get to the trial of the 7 by episode 5, we have to have the Tonsel situation where Dunk gets in a fight and Egg reveals himself to stop Dunk from getting killed, basically. Dunk goes to jail. He's hearing day 2 of the tourney from jail. He meets Prince Baylor. They discuss his punishment, and then the trial of by 7 is demanded. I think all of that has to fit into episode 4, which is, I think that I might be a little bit wrong about how little is in episode 3 because that feels like quite a bit of information to put into episode 4.
Yeah.
It's only 34 minutes. So part of me was wondering if we get Egg revealing himself and the whole Tonsel Arian thing happening in episode 3, but that's such a short episode where we get tourney, the vibes are bad, and then maybe we get Arian driving his lance through Humphrey Harding's horse, trajectory into Arian beating up Tonsel, which makes it seem even worse. And then the reveal of episode... Okay, this is what it is. Then the reveal of Egg is at the end of episode 3. And then episode 4 starts with Dunk in jail.
Yeah.
Dunk's in jail. He's hearing episode 2. He's hearing the day 2 tourney. Egg comes to talk to him. But then that's the whole episode. So then he talks to Prince Baylor. They discuss the punishment. Trial by 7 is demanded. And so then I guess the rest of episode 4 is stress of like, how do I find the rest of my nights? He goes back to the Fossilways. What am I going to do? How do I do this? That's like episode 4. Peter Claffey's favorite. Then we roll into episode 5, 37 minutes. Don't forget. And wait, pause, rewind. Another thing in episode 4 is Egg coming with Darren.
Yeah. Yeah, the Darren conversation, it would be in episode 4, it'd be in the jail episode.
The Darren thing, I was like, are they going to cut this? But no, he was cast. Just because it takes us so much time. So that's going to be in episode 4 too, which absolutely makes no sense to me. I'm confusing myself because now I'm off from my notes, but episode 4, Egg arrives with Darren. They're talking about their plan. Darren talks to Dunk about his dream, which coming off of the mystery night, it's like, why is everybody just like confessing stuff to Dunk all the time? Yeah. Like, what is it about him where people are just like, Targaryens have to like, anyway.
I have weird theories about that. But
tell me.
They're too weird for the podcast. It's like, what is George doing with reality?
I think that's a decent question because I have a weird theory to talk about, but I don't want to talk about it until we get to the end.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the dream and let's talk about my other weird theory at the end. I'm writing it down because I think that could all go into the same thing. So we have maybe Darren's dream combo is like the cliffhanger for episode 4. Like, ooh, here's some of the deep lore that like we're used to in A Song of Ice and Fire. What's going to happen based on this dream? Ends of episode 4.
Yeah, that's kind of up in the air for me. It's same with the Humphrey Harding ending. I think that much like how they front loaded or seemingly are front loading the top, I think that there's going to be some wiggliness here with the way the cliffhanger is done in 3 to lead into 4, and the way that honestly the 4 cliffhanger would lead into the trial of 7, because it's being put in jail is a hard clonk. Like, was the door being shut? Is a word being spoke that there's potential that I might be executed?
Right.
Is that just understood by the audience? And also if we ended with Humphrey, like is episode 2 ending with it's really serious here. This guy's actually bad. Enough of a cliffhanger. Like, was the day full enough at the tourney to last a whole episode?
Right.
Because we would have to have the conversation with Baylor in the previous episode in order to close out with ending the episode with Egg becoming our squire.
Right.
Which would be how a big episode 1 would end. But I'm not sure how big episode 1's going to end.
We're not going to have that conversation about Egg becoming our official squire until episode 6, I think.
Really?
Because that's where it happens in the story.
Well, there's an early conversation where Dunk is going to beat Egg because Egg's changed the camp around, and he asks Egg where he's from. Right.
He
says, I'm from King's Landing.
Right.
Or he says, like, I'm going to take you home. He's like, you have to take me all the way to King's Landing.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait a second. This guy's like me. And, okay, you can be my squire until the end of the tournament, but after that, who knows? So that conversation.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think that happens in episode 1.
I think, sure, but, like, that's pretty quick. I think that we have a mix of front-loading people, but maybe not front-loading moments.
Sure. Okay, I see exactly what you're saying.
So maybe all of the things happen with the tourney, being signed up, meeting Baylor, Plum being turned on his nose. He has to accept this guy now. Maybe we get the setup for that in the first episode, but maybe we finish that part of it in episode 2.
Okay. Yep.
I think it would make sense if we met Baylor and stuff. So maybe he's that evening photograph is part of the ceremony.
Welcome to the tourney. Yeah.
Potentially.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
In the first episode.
Yep.
And then part of day 2's tournament activities involve stuff like this, but then it also involves going back to Maynard Plum, And that's why I thought maybe we'd meet Steely Pate in the second
Ah, okay.
day, because then we'd go not Maynard Plum. I'm thinking about the rest of our notes.
Spoiler.
Yeah, we'd go back to them meet Plummer, and Baylor would be close by.
Sure.
And
Okay.
he'd be like, wait a second, let me
Yeah,
hear your
yeah.
whole story.
Yeah.
And Sir Manfred already, told me no, and that happened in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we get a little bit more Turney set up, and then a little bit more exposition within Turney, and then finally we're in the Turney. So that's why I thought maybe Steely Pate would be in 2.
Yeah.
Because it would help add to that. Like,
Yeah.
all right, now it's time to business. Like, we're
Right.
going back and asking again.
Now we're in.
That
We confirmed Arian. Now A can be our squire. Now Steely Pate can help us with our armor.
Being told no by Manfred, after being told no by Plummer originally.
And by all these girlies.
Exactly. Only someone with no options left. Someone that's like much older would be like, I'm not going to go bother them. Only someone like him that's so headstrong and young and perfectly in a situation would go back and ask again.
Yeah.
And the reward he got for going back and asking again was Baylor asking him questions and saying, yeah, I've heard of Sir Arlen. I see no problem why you can't join. And then he goes back and then, exit the camp. He's done all these things. And yeah, you can be my squire.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, so I think that because it alleviates some of the pressure, even though episode 1 is the longest one, it alleviates some of the pressure. And then 2, if episode 2 is really called Hard Salt Beef, don't Dunk and Egg share that together?
Yeah.
So it's like they're doing that over the fact that he's now a squire, and now they have hard salt beef together or something. I don't know.
But Egg does make a fish, so
he does, and he does fry bacon the next day.
Oh, that's going to be factored in. So I think somewhere in 3 and 4, we're going to get that it's going to go one direction or the other. It's either going to be another chill, soft landing, or we're going to get the egg reveal.
I like the idea of the egg reveal kind of being a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Kind of
that's probably, that would make sense.
Yeah. So that's the cliffhanger in 3, so that 4 Yes, that's the cliffhanger in 3, so that 4 we can spend time in jail and prepare for eventually meeting episode 5, the trial of 7.
Which begins in the morning.
Misty morning air.
Lionel.
Are there no good knights among you?
Baylor.
Who's going to show up and champion for me? At this point, we have the Laughing Storm show up, but he's actually our friend, so that's really exciting. Are we going to get the betrayal from Stefan Fossaway? And then we'll get the Prince Baylor shows up. And then they have the trial of 7, and it's wild. And it's dirty. It's messy. And then
Y'all already know what happens.
Episode 6, this is Ira Parker's favorite, and this is George's favorite episode. 31 minutes. Episode 6 is Baylor's death. He dies at the beginning of the episode. So we don't know at the end of episode 5 that he's maybe we see him dying or severely injured. But then we go into episode 6 with Baylor's death. Funeral, perhaps, ? Fallout.
One of those photos kind of looked like a funeral.
That's what I was wondering.
But why at Ashford? I guess they would burn him there. Yeah.
It
would really help tie it into Hot D as well.
Exactly. Especially from just a narrative standpoint. Yeah. That happens in episode 6. And then the rest of episode 6 is Dunk talking to Prince Makar.
Mm-hmm.
And then Egg is
talking to Egg. Talking to Steely Pate.
Yeah. Just kind of
there
revisiting.
Might be some kind of a Dornish goodbye.
Potentially. Mm-hmm. They head off onto their next adventure. He's officially official. His family knows what's going on. And off we go into the Dornish sunset or whatever kind of thing. So, like I said, the fact that episode 6 is just dealing with the fallout was interesting to me. But when we look at the opportunity that we have to maybe have a funeral, maybe tie in some Hot D traditions, maybe we have a little bit more time setting up what happens in the next season of Dunk and Egg with them preparing to head, that kind of thing is pretty exciting to me. And to deal with how crazy episode 5 was.
Yeah.
Is exciting. It was exciting to George, so it's going to be exciting to me. So
yeah, that's
what I think.
Convos with Steely Pate. We've got to get the horses and stuff back.
Yep.
We've got the long Maekar discussion, and then we've got
I'm really
the
excited
last
for
one with the egg.
Mhm.
So you put like 5 minutes to each of those. That's the whole length. That's not to mention the Baylor funeral.
Exactly.
So you really think the death might be how could you cliffhang a death between the two episodes like that?
I was just rereading the text itself, and it's not clear that he's dying. Like, it's
Yeah.
clear that something bad
He
is
seems
happening,
totally normal, yeah.
but it's not clear that he's actually dead until he takes off his helm.
Still pulls the helm off, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was wondering if maybe, like, in my mind, he pulls off the helm and falls to the ground, and that it goes dark. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah. I think maybe we'll get like a cut or two to the potential dangerous replacements for him.
Ooh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just to maybe spark like, oh, this death could lead to so much
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Potentially just for the next day.
Yeah.
But then we find out, waiting a whole week in the real world that actually my car is like pretty well put together.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And then lets it all slide through.
Yeah. And now he gives his blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is going to be a huge emotional payoff after all of the drama.
So a few things are wiggly. We're not sure where a few things go, but I think that's pretty much it. That's the layout.
Can you believe we're gonna
plus
see
all the surprises
this on screen? Oh my gosh!
I know.
Can we talk about the biggest surprise I've been thinking about all week? What if we see, and I'm not the only one who's saying this, so I did not invent this. What if we see Maynard Plum out and about in Ashford Meadow?
All I gotta say is we gonna.
That is so exciting to me. So
I got a leak. Let me just tell you all right now. I have a leak. I'm laying it out there. Here's the leak. We are 100% gonna see Maynard Plum.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm 100%. I'm sorry to set this up so big and then to let y'all down, but he can turn into whatever he wants, right? He can glamour, so he'll be there even if he's not.
Oh, shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you were telling me something huge.
Yeah, my bad.
Get out of here.
There's Maynard Plum right there.
Stop.
That's Maynard Plum.
No. Okay, listen to what I have to say.
You're right. It's him. All right.
Get out of here.
Sorry, go on.
People, okay, so according to the timeline of things being published, the Blackfires are not around in the time that George publishes The Hedge Knight. So the Blackfire Rebellion is not a thing that anybody even knows about. Maybe George himself doesn't know about it. That's what the streets are saying. Therefore, it might make sense to put like Maynard Plum or some Blackfire House sigils into season 1 so that when we roll up to the Mystery Night, we have some sort of continuity between season 1 and season 3.
Why not? We've had this time.
Yeah.
Why not? If it's done deftly. I think that would be so cool.
You wrecked it by saying he was going to be there anyway.
I'm sorry. Well, listen, that's the excuse that George is going to use too.
Nowhere at once.
It's the same excuse George is going to use.
Eyes everywhere. He'd be like, Maynard Plum was there.
He was technically there.
I think it would be very cool if we got some of that. And maybe it's just because we're in the Mystery Night right now, and so I'm like really hype on that.
Yeah.
But I think it would be very cool if we're talking about deep lore, if we're going to be talking about the Darren the Dreamer, and if we're going to get him, then maybe we could also get Bloodraven. At least glimpses of him.
I like what you're saying.
So
please, we've got time to fill. And as we saw in House of the Dragon, if you add that stuff in there, I'm gonna love it.
People are gonna eat it up. That's what A Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones is. So give us the just irreverent jokes while we also have Bloodraven.
Yeah, give me some high fantasy at the same time.
In the back. So
you think they're gonna be able to pull that off? High fantasy?
I have no doubt in my mind. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind.
I'm so excited to get a new show.
I know, and I can't believe the next time we talk about The Hedge Knight together in front of a microphone, we will have already seen the episode.
That's crazy.
We've been saying this so much. The hype is so high. And I know we have a couple questions about what could potentially happen in each episode. But I mean, the fact that we have the opportunity to nitpick through this novella and piece the places together into an episode structure and have confidence that it's going to go that way is the most fun exercise ever. Yeah. And so I've just been having so much fun the last couple of days, like really digging our heels into it, because we're gonna get these really incredible moments with the jousting and the tourney being the best that George has ever seen on screen.
On mainstream TV.
We're going to get Egg showing up in his royal garb that's probably like a little bit too big for him with a shaved head. We're going to get Dunk interfering, or not interfering, but kind of interfacing with royalty. You know, we're going to get it all. He's going to fall in love with a cute girl. On. Yes, we're going to get it all. Steely Pate.
Yeah, like I said, it's all going to... Steely Pate is going to be in front of mainstream audiences. People's grandmas are going to see Steely Pate's fine craftsmanship.
What the heck?
The double-threaded chainmail.
Yeah.
Steely Pate's
look at
handiwork.
This.
They're going to see that. So, high five.
I think it's going to go off without a hitch. I'm so excited. And I think they're going to do a really good job of tying it back to Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and future Night of the Seven Kingdoms seasons. Like I think that because we're kind of in this hodgepodge mashup of Westeros, that we're going to be able to call out and call back things in a way that we maybe wouldn't have been able to before.
Yeah, just by design of the set itself.
The way things are going to look. So banners everywhere. You know, we're going to see banners of all of our favorite houses, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so fun.
There'll be some cameos that we haven't read. There'll be new cameos. Hopefully. That'd be cool. Okay. Well, we're a couple days out from season 1.
Let's do
of
it.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms launching.
Let's do it.
One more podcast between now and then. We're going to be finishing out the Mystery Night this weekend. So,
and it will be required reading if we're going to understand the Hedge Knight, because we will be seeing Maynard Plum.
We've already confirmed. We got the leak.
Yeah.
He's in the story.
So
send us in your own for the Mystery Night. The final chunk of the Mystery Night. Maynard Plum, does he return?
Also, send in your owns for what you think the pacing is going to look like. Any of those kinds of thoughts. And we'll do a call out later in the week as we kind of build the momentum. But just start thinking what you think about scenes you're excited to see, what the cadence might look like from your perspective, and
how the puppets are going to work.
All of that stuff. I'm excited to hear your thoughts too.
So you can send those in on social media. We're at Game of Owns everywhere. X, Insta. If you're watching on YouTube, please like the video. That helps, I guess. I don't know. This is a brand new YouTube account, so not sure how this works. And we'll be back Sunday night. Directly after the episode airs, we'll be podcasting and dropping the episode as usual on Sunday night. If you're listening, you already know how this works, so I guess we'll get into it later.
But Sunday night episode,
enjoy this week.
Midweek episode, we're doing it all.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
In that darkness, the White Walkers came for the first time. They swept through cities and kingdoms, riding their dead horses, hunting with their packs of pale spiders, big as hounds.